Recently, across many countries around the world, a concept has been mentioned more and more often: the risk of midlife collapse. In a time of constant global economic uncertainty, countless people who reach their early 30s, mid 30s, or close to 40 suddenly find themselves unemployed, laid off, or watching the company they devoted years to collapse overnight. They wake up one morning and realize they no longer know where to go or what to do next. Stories like these are no longer rare. They appear everywhere, on social media and films and television programs, reflecting a harsh and very real truth of modern society. These are not fictional plots or exaggerated narratives created for entertainment. They are real lives unfolding every single day, all around the world, sometimes right beside us, unnoticed. Today, I want to share one of those stories with you. A story close enough to make many people pause and think. It is the story of midlife workers, people who have spent most of their lives working, contributing to their families, their companies, and society. And yet, at a certain point, instead of being recognized, they are forced to face a brutal reality. Being replaced, being discarded for one simple reason: age. Many of us feel sympathy when we see middle-aged workers being laid off. But have we truly understood the pain and pressure they carry? People who spent decades building their careers and creating value suddenly become excess in the eyes of society. For them, losing a job is not just losing an income. It is losing a part of their life, their pride, and the sense of purpose they held onto for so many years. Try to imagine this. You have worked for the same company for 20 years, pouring in your time, energy, and commitment. Then one day, without warning, you receive a notice of downsizing, and you are the one let go. Not because you performed poorly, but simply because you are no longer young. How would that feel? All the sweat, all the sleepless nights spent finishing work, suddenly it all feels meaningless. That feeling is not just disappointment. It is deep emotional pain, a sense of being abandoned and treated unfairly. Welcome to Unsaid Truths, where we look directly at the realities society often avoids. Many people listening to this podcast may think that midlife is still far away. But in truth, the age range from 30 to 45 is already right in front of us. And if you do not become aware of it early, you may fail to prepare for one of the most difficult phases of your life. When it arrives, many people face it feeling empty, sometimes with nothing left. Do not assume that the struggles you faced when you were young, just graduating, searching for a job, struggling to survive, were the hardest part. Back then, you still had youth, time, family, friends, and support systems to lean on. You had the energy to learn, to fail, and to start over. But once you pass 30, everything changes. You are forced to carry the weight of your life on your own. The responsibility of caring for your family and loved ones begins to press heavily on your shoulders, and the room for mistakes becomes much smaller. And most importantly, at this stage, you almost can no longer afford to fail. Because behind you is not just yourself, but your family, people who are counting on your stability and success. That is why you need to stay alert, stay clear-headed, and keep listening. From 30 to 45 is one of the most critical periods in a person's life. Most major life events happen during this time. We get married, raise children, build careers, secure stable jobs, or hold certain positions in society. This is no longer an age where we can live aimlessly or drift through life without direction. When we are young, confusion is understandable. The world feels vast, experience is limited, and there are too many choices with no clear path. But if you enter midlife still confused, still directionless, despair becomes very real. By then, you have already lived nearly half your life. You have experienced storms, upheavals, and even witnessed loss and separation. Your personality, habits, and way of living have already taken shape. The period between 30 and 45 is an in-between stage. There are many things you cannot easily let go of, yet holding on to them feels heavy. This is the time when you become the backbone of your family. Above you are aging parents. Below you are young children. Responsibilities pile up, leaving no room to retreat. And if a major disruption occurs during this phase, such as a company going bankrupt or sudden unemployment, It can easily push a person into the deepest pits of life. There was a man nearing 50 who had worked for over 20 years at a manufacturing plant. His job was far from easy, but he worked with complete dedication. The products he made supported his family and were distributed far beyond his workplace. 2 decades of loyalty and effort went into that company, becoming a source of pride not only for him, but for his family as well. His hands were highly skilled, and his experience was once considered indispensable. Then one day, everything changed. He received a notice that the company was cutting staff, and he was among those being let go. The explanation was simple. He was older and no longer as fast as before. But the deeper reason was his salary, higher due to years of service. All he received was a termination letter and a cold thank you for his past contributions. 20 years of dedication disappeared in an instant. Years of hard work suddenly turned into meaningless numbers. He sat quietly in a small cafe, his hands trembling as he held the termination letter. His eyes red from tears he could not hold back. He said he did not know what to do next. For 20 years, he had known only one job and mastered it completely. Now, younger workers were faster, cheaper, and more desirable to the company. Not because they were better, but because they cost less. Those words cut deeply into the hearts of many. Can you imagine what it feels like for a middle-aged worker to face the truth that they can be replaced simply because of their age? And this is not just one person's story. Outside, thousands, perhaps millions, are experiencing the same pain. It is not that they lack effort. It is not that they are incapable of working. They are simply no longer young enough to keep up with the rapid pace of technological and social change. They cannot run at that speed anymore. And this is not just a financial shock. It is a profound loss of identity, dignity, and purpose. This reality forces us to ask a difficult question. Why do we allow midlife workers to endure this? Why are they seen as burdens and discarded simply because of age? These are questions we must confront. And today, I want to explore this reality with you more deeply, to truly feel it, and to begin searching for ways to support those who gave their entire lives only to be pushed to the margins. If you look around, you will see that cases like this are far from rare. In industrial zones and in offices that stay brightly lit day and night across major cities around the world, there is a growing group of midlife workers being quietly pushed aside. They were once key contributors, people who helped build and grow their companies. But now, in the eyes of many younger managers, they are seen as burdens, unable to meet the demands for speed and lower cost. As technology and new ways of working take over, experienced workers who move more slowly struggle to keep up. And the result is that they are left behind, becoming excess in a society that increasingly worships speed and instant efficiency. This reality is happening everywhere, not only in manufacturing, but across countless other fields. Midlife workers are not worthless. On the contrary, they are people who have accumulated deep experience and hard-earned skills that cannot be acquired quickly. Yet today's labor market no longer recognizes those values. Instead, it prioritizes youth, speed, and constant adaptability. Younger workers may move faster, learn new technologies more easily, and adapt more quickly to modern work models. But can they immediately perform the work left behind by midlife workers? Work that requires deep understanding, long-term experience, and the ability to handle complex situations that only time can teach? Honestly, the answer is uncertain. So why do we live in a society where age becomes a criterion for removing people from the labor market? A large part of the reason lies in cost cutting. A younger worker with a lower salary may deliver similar output, and in the short term may even work faster. But when we consider dedication, experience, and the hardships midlife workers have endured over many years, can they truly be replaced so easily? Again, the answer is far from certain. Yet society and businesses often choose the fastest and cheapest path. And that path leads to pushing midlife workers to the margins. This creates a harsh cycle where even those who have given their all still cannot hold on to their jobs. Is there any way to change this reality? We will continue searching for that answer in the next part of this story. What I've shared reflects a painful reality unfolding in modern society. In it, midlife workers are gradually becoming victims of an unforgiving labor market. They were once strong pillars for both their companies and their families, contributing value for many years. But now they face cold replacement for one simple reason. They are no longer young. Their pain does not end with losing a job. Losing work means losing a part of life itself, losing confidence and losing the sense of purpose they spent years building. Ask yourself this: when a company looks only at cost, when performance is measured solely by speed and low wages, do they still see values like dedication, experience, and loyalty? A story from a well-known film illustrates this clearly. The character is a talented software engineer who devoted more than 10 years to his company, generating enormous revenue. He worked relentlessly, spending nearly all his time at the office until his health deteriorated. Yet one day the company decided to let him go, claiming he was no longer a good fit. He refused to overwork his subordinates and did not want to chase numbers at any cost. The real reason was simple. His salary had become too high. After more than a decade of dedication, all he received was a small severance payment and a cold decision. He lost his job, his income to support his family, to pay his mortgage, his child's tuition, and to care for aging parents. But the greatest loss was the collapse of his career, his dreams and ambitions built over many years. He applied to job after job, but what he received was not opportunity, but doubt and dismissal. At that age, struggling to find work became a source of humiliation in the eyes of many. His pain was not just the loss of income, but the loss of a dream, the loss of everything he had spent his working life building. Stories like this are not isolated. They happen every day, everywhere, not only in heavy industries, but also in offices, services, and commerce. We must recognize that midlife workers are not useless. They possess values and skills that not every younger worker can replace. In the film, the character eventually finds stability, but in real life, how many people are truly that fortunate after losing their jobs? So why can't society properly recognize the value of midlife workers? This question weighs heavily on my mind. If we do not change our perspective and create opportunities for people at this stage of life to continue using their abilities, they will remain on the sidelines and the values they bring will slowly fade away. Technology can change many things, but it cannot replace experience, dedication, and lessons accumulated over decades of work. It is time for us to rethink. It is time to build a society where age is not the deciding factor, where real contribution is. We need to act so that midlife workers no longer feel abandoned, so they can see that they still matter, that they can continue to contribute and live meaningful lives. Their story is not that of a single individual or circumstance. It is a widespread reality of modern society, one that affects not only workers but the very values society chooses to uphold. We cannot continue to let people who have given their entire lives be pushed aside or forgotten simply because of age. Midlife workers, who have contributed so much to the economy and to society, deserve a second chance to continue contributing and to live fuller lives. So what can we do to change this reality? The first step, I believe, is to change how society views midlife workers. We must understand that age is not a measure of a person's worth. Experience, dedication, and loyalty are qualities that no technology and no younger generation can instantly replace. Midlife workers are not just employees, they are mentors, people who can pass on invaluable lessons about work and life to the next generation. If society learns to value them and create opportunities for them, they can continue to contribute and create positive change in the world around them. In addition, businesses also need to take a hard look at their human resource strategies. Replacing midlife workers with younger ones simply because they are cheaper is not a sustainable solution. Technology can improve efficiency, but it cannot replace the values that experienced workers bring. Instead of chasing only young faces, companies can invest in training, helping seasoned employees update their skills and keep pace with new trends. Policies like these not only help organizations retain experienced teams, but also reduce age discrimination in the workplace. At the same time, regulators and public institutions need to introduce policies that encourage companies to retain and employ midlife workers through training programs, support systems, or appropriate incentives. More importantly, society must gradually change how it views age and work so that age is no longer the factor that determines a person's value or right to exist. I believe that if we can do this, painful stories like those of midlife workers will become less common. They will no longer have to face being replaced or left behind simply because of age. They will have the opportunity to continue living and contributing because they deserve it. Remember, life is not always easy. There will be phases when we are forced to face difficulties that seem impossible to overcome. But if we do not give up, if we continue to believe in ourselves and find the strength to stand back up, we can still get through every challenge. And that is the message I want to send to every midlife worker facing hardship right now. You are not alone. There are people who understand you and are willing to walk alongside you. You still matter, and you can still contribute to society in your own way. I hope that through this story, we can better recognize the challenges midlife workers are facing and together find ways to ensure they are not forgotten, so that society does not only celebrate youth, but also learns to respect those who have spent their entire lives building the foundation for shared progress. However, before waiting for change from society, each of us also needs to prepare for our own future. A future that most of us will likely face at some point. If one day we find ourselves at risk in midlife, what should we do to protect and save ourselves? Here are the things that matter most between the ages of 30 and 45. First, focus on building income. As midlife approaches, we need to live more realistically. Be willing to let go of unnecessary indulgences. Learn to save. Take money seriously. Understand how cash flow works and how money can generate more money. Money is not simple, and it should never be underestimated. It can provide stability, position, and access to opportunities and relationships. Many people admit that the greatest risk in midlife comes from not having built a solid financial foundation. In a world that changes too fast, it is sometimes necessary to pause long-term plans and focus on the present. Live in the present, work in the present, and give your full effort now. Remember, sincere effort is never wasted. Second, silence is valuable. In life, there are three kinds of matters: your own, other people's, and things beyond your control. What you cannot control is not worth your energy. What does not directly affect your path or interests does not need to be argued or defended. Let what is unimportant pass by. Other people's opinions of you are not worth your time or emotional investment, not even for a moment. Third, learn to accept solitude. Relationships change as your awareness changes. People and things that no longer align with your path will naturally fall away. That is the rule of life. In the end, the only person who walks with you until the very end is yourself. If in midlife you still cannot tolerate solitude and constantly seek validation from others, you will be easily hurt by negative judgments. A mature person is someone who understands their goals clearly and is willing to work relentlessly to achieve them. Fourth, never stop learning. Even things you once believed were unnecessary or unsuitable may still need to be learned again today. Society is changing faster than ever. Work models and business structures shift constantly. Many old professions disappear, while new ones emerge. Traditional ways of working are replaced by more flexible, technology-driven approaches. Stay calm, observe, and reflect. Whenever an old phase ends, new opportunities always appear. Do not become pessimistic. Learn, observe, and actively search for your next path. Learning from those who have already achieved results is one of the fastest ways to grow. Fifth, understand the laws of life. If you still find yourself asking why once close relationships fall apart, why people who were once united turn against each other, then perhaps you have not yet accepted a simple truth. Everything that exists is constantly changing. Nothing is permanent. Sixth, build a clear inner conviction and place strong faith in yourself. Human action is directly proportional to inner belief. The stronger the conviction, the more decisive the action. Many examples of people overcoming adversity were once ordinary individuals, often underestimated by others. The difference was their unshakable belief in themselves. Even when the world turned away, they trusted that they could succeed. Remember, everything in life has a cost, and at this stage of life, we no longer have endless time or energy to pay repeatedly for the same mistakes. Every action and every word can either become capital for the future or a debt you will later have to repay. Seventh, be ready to face challenges. Life is full of highs and lows and sometimes even despair. That is the natural order of things. The hardest stage is always moving from nothing to something. But once you take the first step, the road ahead becomes much easier. What truly matters is whether you are willing to begin today and whether you dare to face what lies ahead. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this story. I hope these reflections are not only a warning but also a call to action, so that together we can move toward a fairer working environment where human value is recognized and respected regardless of age. If this message resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and continue walking with unsaid truths in the stories to come.